I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's talk about UK political meddling. And the political meddling is taking place via two neocon globalists. One of them is in the United States. One is in the UK and is part of the Labour Party. The first one that is meddling in UK politics is US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And the second person that is meddling specifically in the Labour Party is none other than former UK Prime Minister and architect of the Iraq War, the WMD lie, Mr. Tony Blair. So, Alexander, which one do you want to tackle first, Pompeo or Blair?
I think let's tackle Pompeo because he's gone public. Blair, as he usually does nowadays, works very much behind the scenes. But Pompeo has made this extraordinary comment about how the United States will work to prevent Jeremy Corbyn, who is the leader of Her Majesty's opposition, who is the leader of the Labour Party, becoming British Prime Minister. And I have to say here, going back to a video we did a little while ago, that to some extent, in my opinion, Corbyn has brought this on himself as a result of his bizarre behaviour during Donald Trump's visit here, when Jeremy Corbyn, as we both remember, was saying, frankly, awful things about Donald Trump and refusing to attend a dinner, a state banquet, where Donald Trump was, and went to address a rally against Donald Trump. And that has obviously annoyed Trump, and it's given license to neocons like Pompeo, who are obviously extremely hostile to Jeremy Corbyn because of Jeremy Corbyn's very well and established opposition to the various regime change wars that the neocons have embraced. He opposed the war in Yugoslavia. He opposed the war in Iraq. He opposed the war against Libya. He has been a strong opponent of intervention in Syria. He has spoken out consistently against an attack on Iran. He has spoken out consistently on behalf of Palestinian rights in the occupied territories. So he is someone that the United States deep state, its military-industrial complex, and the neoconservatives in the United States absolutely abhor. And as we see, they are quite open now about campaigning and using all the very great leverage that they have in Britain to try to prevent Jeremy Corbyn becoming Prime Minister. I'm going to add something about this, which is that this story about Pompeo's comments has been barely reported in Britain. You will find extensive reporting about it in the international media and, of course, in the alternative media. But mainstream media in Britain has barely touched on this story, which shows the extent of its hostility to Corbyn, but also of the very deep links which exist here between the British establishment, the British mainstream media, and the neocons in Washington.
Let me read you a quick tweet from Matt Turner, and we'll close out the news on Pompeo, and then we'll move over to Tony Blair. This is from Matt Turner. It says, Pompeo now says he will do his utmost to stop Jeremy Corbyn becoming Prime Minister. I thought they hated foreign interference in the democratic process. What do you make of that tweet, Alexander?
Well, I think that Matt Turner has put his finger on it because, of course, we've been hearing in the United States unrelenting criticism of Russia for allegedly interfering in the US presidential election. And we've heard Donald Trump being continuously smeared as Russia's Siberian candidate, installed supposedly by the Kremlin through all kinds of devices, and unproven, of course, but widely accepted in the United States, and leading to all kinds of threats of sanctions upon Russia, and various people talking about it as a kind of Pearl Harbor, a Russian Pearl Harbor on the United States. And here we see Pompeo doing what the United States, in fact, regularly and routinely does around the world the very thing it criticizes when it is allegedly done to itself, quite openly and unashamedly. He speaks about the United States interfering in British domestic politics to stop Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party, becoming British Prime Minister. Obviously, the opinions of the British people take less precedence in Mike Pompeo's mind than the interests or wishes of the United States. It is all about that constant position US politicians and pundits have, that there is one rule for the United States and one rule for everyone else, so that the United States has the right to interfere in the internal arrangements of all other countries, to change regimes, to choose who will become leader of another country or not, as the case may be. But no one, under any circumstances, should even consider doing anything in any way like that to them.
All right, let's move now to Tony Blair. Alexander, what's going on with Mr. Blair?
Now, this, I'm afraid, requires some understanding of Labour Party politics. Now, Jeremy Corbyn was elected to lead the Labour Party by the mass membership of the Labour Party. He has faced a political machine which is controlled by people who were put in that position by Tony Blair during the very long period when Tony Blair was leader of the Labour Party. And Tony Blair has also packed the parliamentary Labour Party with his own followers. Now, the important thing to understand about Blair is that, first of all, he detests Jeremy Corbyn. He sees Jeremy Corbyn as dangerously left-wing, an opponent of the regime change wars that Tony Blair himself was a primary advocate of. You mentioned Iraq and Tony Blair's enormous involvement in the Iraq war, and also, which of course Jeremy Corbyn opposed. But there is an issue which transcends all of this, because Tony Blair, as well as detesting Jeremy Corbyn and seeing in Jeremy Corbyn everything that he opposed within the Labour Party, is also a fervid supporter of Britain remaining in the European Union. Now, what Blair and his acolytes within the Labour Party have been trying to do is to force Jeremy Corbyn into taking an unequivocal pro-Remain position, whereby Jeremy Corbyn commits the Labour Party to a second referendum on whether or not Britain should leave the European Union, and commits the Labour Party in that referendum to voting to remain in the European Union. This has been an agenda that has been very aggressively followed, especially since the European Parliament elections. And people very close to Tony Blair, including his former press secretary, Alistair Campbell, not only have been actively lobbying in that direction, but in Alistair Campbell's case, he openly said that he was voting for the Liberal Democratic Party against Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party because of this position on the European Union. Now, if I may say so, you can see Tony Blair's fingerprints across the whole of this thing. He's, as I say, Alistair Campbell was involved. His former Home Secretary, a man very close to Blair, David Blunkett, has also been actively speaking out against Jeremy Corbyn on this issue. And in fact, what has actually happened is that Jeremy Corbyn, with great difficulty, has managed to hold the line, has refused to commit Labour to a second referendum in which Labour would definitely campaign to keep Britain in the European Union. And as a result, there was, beyond any question at all, in my mind, a plot against Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, which was only defeated because Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, against many expectations, managed to hold on in the Peterborough by-election.
All right. Would it be a stretch to say that Blair might have been the person or one of the people behind the Corbyn anti-Semitism smear?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, if you look at the people within the Labour Party who have been pushing this issue most aggressively, they are very close allies of Tony Blair. I mean, one thinks of people like Jess Phillips. One thinks, again, as I said, of David Blunkett. All sorts of people like that have been heavily involved in this, in pushing this campaign, this anti-Semitism campaign. And Tony Blair himself, incidentally, and I think not coincidentally, is known to be very, very close to the Israeli government. Can I just say something because about the Peterborough by-election? And we covered it in a previous programme, and I pointed out that the claim that had been made that the Brexit Party did badly in that by-election is completely wrong. But one should not overlook the fact that the Blairites in the Labour Party wanted Labour to lose, and when Labour won, far from being happy, they attacked the successful Labour candidate and accused her of anti-Semitism. And the reason they did that, of course, is because her victory in Peterborough, extremely narrow as it was, saved Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. And I don't think it's a coincidence, going back to your point about anti-Semitism, that of all the issues she was criticised for, she was criticised on that one.
All right. So it looks like to me that you have a struggle within the Labour Party as to what they believe in, their ideology, their future. And it seems that you could say that Tony Blair was very much a Labour that was neoliberal, warmongers, globalists, elitists, and that was the type of Labour Party that Tony Blair created and the type of Labour Party that Tony Blair wants going forward. And then you have a Corbyn who probably you know better, but I would say that Corbyn is maybe more liberal left, maybe radical left, maybe socialist left. I don't know where you want to kind of place him in context to what I said, but he's definitely anti-war. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And when it comes to the globalist agenda, I don't know. I think he's kind of a little hot and cold. I still haven't figured out exactly where he stands on the globalist kind of view of the world.
Right, I think you've summed up the Tony Blair and the Blairite tendency within the Labour Party absolutely perfectly. Jeremy Corbyn, whom I followed most of my political life because he's been around for such a long time, and whom I know reasonably well, though I've never met him, I should say. I've attended meetings which he's attended, but I've never actually had a direct meeting with him. But Jeremy Corbyn represents an attempt by some people in the Labour Party to return to the Labour Party's roots. So they want to pursue a more socialist, a more nationalist, a more British-centred policy agenda. Jeremy Corbyn has always been, throughout his political life, an opponent of the European Union. He's been, throughout his political life, an opponent of NATO. He is against, as we said, interventionist wars. I'm going to say it straightforwardly about Jeremy Corbyn. He is also not a particularly strong leader. I mean, he's never succeeded, in my opinion, in imposing his personality on the Labour Party. He's not a particularly good manager. He's never been able to face down the opposition he faces from the Blairites. And the result is that because he is a weak leader, this conveys an appearance of ambiguity and lends weight to the political conflict within the Labour Party that you are discussing. Now, I have to say, in defence of Corbyn, that beyond personality issues, he does face a problem with a parliamentary Labour Party which is solidly hostile to him and solidly Blairite, and a party machine which is also. But I can't help thinking myself that a stronger personality would have been able to impose himself more effectively than Jeremy Corbyn has done. And that must cast a doubt over his long-term success if he's ever elected British Prime Minister.
All right, Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button. Also, click on that notifications bell and make sure that you smash that like button. Donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and now Subscribestar as well. The links are in the description box down below. Get an audio copy of this video on iTunes and Soundcloud. The links are also in the description box down below. Follow us on Instagram, the Duran_com, and go to the Duran shop. Pick up a t-shirt, pick up a mug, pick up stickers, pick up V-necks, pick up hoodies. We got all kinds of stuff. Alexander, you have a polo shirt. I have a t-shirt. You also have mugs on your desk over there.
I certainly do. Let me talk about the mugs first, and then I'll get on to the polo shirt. I mean, these are beautiful mugs. They're incredibly solid. They're beautiful to hold. You can see how well balanced they are. And I drink tea from mine. It's really capacious mugs, so you can have lots of tea. You can have coffee, which is what my wife drinks from these mugs, or you can even drink beer. And as I said, I drank a stout beer, an Imperial Russian stout, which, by the way, despite its name, is a British style of beer. It's named because Imperial Russian stout because Catherine the Great liked it. But I drank some of that from this, and it's actually perfect for that. Better than your pint or half-liter glass. Now, can I also say it's also got this one, which is my mug. It's got our logo with a double-headed eagle, which points to the east and to the west, as the Duran seeks to do. We try to encompass the entire world, not just the western part of it. So we have an eagle that faces in both directions. And we also have, as I said, the identical mug, but this time with a double-headed eagle of Moscow. This is Moscow's coat of arms, and we chose it for two reasons. Well, three reasons. Firstly, because it is a bit like our own logo, and why dispute it? Secondly, because, as I said, by chance, it was in Moscow that Alex and I first met. And thirdly, it's also got St. George, the Roman Christian knight, slaying the dragon of untruth and fake news, which is what we aim to do at the Duran. So we feel that's very appropriate for us, and it's also a beautiful logo, a beautiful device to see on a mug. My wife loves this mug, and she drinks from it. Now, the other thing that my wife loves is the shirt I'm wearing, which is a 100% polo shirt, beautifully cut and made, beautifully embroidered again with our logo here, just over where my heart is. Extraordinarily comfortable to wear, comfortable in very hot weather, comfortable in cool weather, very nice to wear when you are hosting visitors, as I'm afraid I have been doing quite a lot. People from all over the world who've been dropping in to see us, and also to take out, when I'm walking my dogs in nearby parks and things of that kind. So it's good to wear on social occasions. It's very smart, casual clothing, really elegant. My wife loves it. I get admiring glances where I wear it. You will feel great if you wear it, and you will help the Duran if you buy it. So what's stopping you?
Yeah, exactly right. And those are magic mugs. If you drink from those mugs, You will also learn words like capacious.
You will indeed.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, it describes it very well. They're very magical. They will teach
Absolutely,
you,
absolutely.
They will teach you
You learn all
sorts
kinds of
of
things on this channel.
channel.
All right. We also have an ebook as well. Alexander, you wrote the foreword to that ebook on Brexit. The link for that ebook is in the description box down below as well. You want to say a quick word about that ebook, Alexander?
Yes, I mean, we've just discussed some of the twists and turns on Brexit on this video, and how Tony Blair and his followers within the Labour Party are intriguing about this. This is part of the larger intrigue against Brexit that's been happening in Britain, carried out by the British establishment, which was horrified by the referendum result in 2016, wants to keep Britain in the EU because they are all signed up to a globalist, Atlanticist, integrationist agenda, and they have been looking for ways to reverse the outcome of the referendum and to cancel Brexit. And we set out in the book both to describe how they are doing that through all these complicated parliamentary manoeuvres, and also the enormous popular reaction that has provoked outside the political class across England and Wales as the Brexit Party was first formed and then swept all before it in the European Parliament elections, and how we also predicted that would happen. Back in 2016, we said then that if there was an attempt to cancel or reverse Brexit, precisely this political insurgency that we said would happen, led by Nigel Farage, how it is, we predicted it would happen, and it is now happening even as I speak about it now.
All right. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of Duran, thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.